Hello, and welcome to the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm Dan, your host. You can find me on Instagram at FJ40_UMA_Smurf or on I Hate Mud at Mountain Biker. You can find the podcast on Instagram by searching Classic Land Cruisers. Remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. This episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, Save Your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hybrids and Terrain Tamer North America. All right, welcome to this episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm currently on location with Jules at the I almost wanted to say Classic Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. No, it's just the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. You know, I always say that I have an impressive collection of Toyota Land Cruiser die casts on my desk at work, but this puts mine to shame. There's one that kind of looks like Uma a little bit. So how did you get where did all the die casts come from? Are those private individual who donated them, or?
So we have one case right here in the beginning.
Yeah.
That actually is owned by the museum.
Okay.
Various gifts that have been left. We've got actually some of these recent ones, the 300 series and 250 that were given by a chief engineer.
Okay. And did the chief engineer sign them?
He did sign them.
Nice.
So signed pieces. And let me tell you, I did try to procure these as gift shop items, but they're just gone.
Oh, yeah.
They're always in limited numbers. But these are items that the museum does own specifically. The rest of the cabinets and the majority of this memorabilia collection is owned by a gentleman, Mike Davis.
Okay.
Some of you guys might know him as Tree Root. He has been collecting probably as long as the museum's been collecting the real thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's extensive. I was told it's the tip of an iceberg. They've got so many more at home. I can tell you truthfully that we actually have some more in the storage cabinets underneath the glass case because we just don't have enough shelf space.
Well, I have plenty of shelf space that I can help alleviate some of that from you. I have that one and like that one right there. I have that one. I have that one. That one. I mean, I wish I could have almost all, or not almost all of these. I wish I could have all of them. But I mean, if you ever come here, just the die-cast and the collectible stuff itself is almost worth coming in to the museum for. And we haven't even gotten into the actual museum. We're here at the beginning of it.
He's here. This was actually donated to us by a gentleman. Sorry, your mind is Rich Samuel. This is a porcelain Noritake piece of a 20 series
Nice.
Land Cruiser. And you can see here that was made for Toyota Motor Corp. And you can see the Noritake logo right down there.
Nice.
And it's got a great little story. This man, he had seen this on his neighbor's shelf.
Wow.
And had admired it for years. Always wondering, if he could ever own it himself. I think it was that it ended up they were having a garage sale or yard sale, and this actually came up as available, so he snatched it up.
Oh, I would have done that too.
Museum, he brought it over because he wanted everyone to be able to enjoy it. So every now and then we are blessed with a donation, or something on loan to us. That being one of those two.
Yeah. So just because I'm so excited about seeing the actual vehicle, let's go in and take a look at some of the other vehicles that we have here. Oh, that right there kind of broke my heart when I found out that Cohen had tragically passed.
Yes, that is very recent news, and our hearts are broken. We have such great video tutorials that he sent us with instructions on how to operate his BJ45.
And his BJ45 is in here. Oh my goodness.
So we will get to see that up close. I'll open the door for you.
So in getting ready for this interview, I was in contact with Jules quite a bit. This will be on, I will put it up on YouTube. But in talking with Jules at the beginning, she was like, I'm allergic to being on camera. And I said, that's okay. I have a face for radio. So you're not going to see any faces on this podcast. So, and this right here, if I'm not mistaken, is the first BJ20 sold in the United States, correct?
No. Let's rephrase that. So the BJT was actually never sold in the United States.
Okay.
Very low production. We're talking about probably under 300 units. And this was made for the U.S. military during the Korean War.
Okay.
In fact, it was a government contract that was out to bid with Japanese automakers to produce a light-duty truck in the style and in the specifications of the Willys Jeep. But the Korean War came to a close, and that contract wasn't actually awarded, right? So these units actually ended up in the hands of the Japanese National Police Force, and they were really impressed with it. They took it up Mount Fuji, it performed really well for them, and the rest is kind of history. But this particular vehicle ended up being sold surplus to Australia.
Okay.
And spent the latter part of its life as a mail carrier vehicle in Adelaide.
Oh, nice.
It was a legitimate foreign fund.
Oh. So what got you into working in the Heritage Museum?
Stroke of luck.
Right place, right time?
Well, I period. And, Greg Miller found out that I liked Land Cruisers. So I more or less got recruited.
Oh, nice. And so how does it work? Is it just like oldest on this side and then you go down and come back to newer vehicles, or how is the museum displayed right now?
Well, currently we hold 100 vehicles in the facility. It covers 1953 to 2024.
Okay.
The 24 model is on loan to us from Toyota USA. The collection is organized by series.
Okay.
And then chronological within the series. So as you walk in and you have this very ethereal experience, you get to see this giant row of what seems like endless Land Cruisers. You've got to the right the two most significant vehicles in Toyota history, the BJT, the predecessor to the Land Cruiser, and then for us here in the U.S., the very significant first FJ25 Land Cruisers sold in the United States.
Yeah.
Right? We've got, following that, 5 more 20 series vehicles, and then the majority of this main row is the 40 series that everyone fell in love with.
Yeah, that when I came to your old location, you probably had to clean up after me because I was probably drooling on all of the 40 series and the 20 series. I mean, there's just something so iconic about the body lines and the white Cygnus hood or white Cygnus roof. And yeah, it's just, I can't get enough of looking at these. And when I found out that I'm actually coming up to Idaho for a family reunion, I'm like, you know what? Not exactly halfway, but right in the middle of my trip is going to be the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. I have to go to I have to go back. This is a place where you can't really just go once.
Pilgrimage, for sure.
And yeah, just everything in here is just so spectacular. From the very first one sold to any of them sold, they're just such great pieces to look at. And I really like this one because I'm kind of partial to the hood spear, but it also has I don't know, what would you call that? Just a hood decoration?
An emblem, an early emblem. I am not as well educated or familiar as Dan is.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's actually means. One of those cases that I would call what is this again?
Well, we might have to reach out to Dan and say, what would you call that? So yes, when you come in, and the way it's set up is you just this elongated view of just nothing but 40 series, 20 series front hoods and bumpers. So what other vehicles do you have in here that have a really interesting history?
Well, I know it's been a while since you've been through the collection that you had visited last when we were on the south. And I want to say that we actually have had a lot of change in the vehicle collection.
Okay.
We've had vehicles retire and new ones come in. We've more or less stayed pretty steady at 100 vehicles. That is essentially what we're limited to by building capacity. At some point in the future, we will have to find a building structure or find the right corporate sponsor to expand on the project.
Yeah.
I got folks in here all the time wondering where the Lexus versions are, or if we'll ever have 4Runners. And I'm thinking that is definitely a separate wing.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Well, when I told my son and my daughter that we were coming here, my son has a second gen 4Runner, and he's like, "Is there going to be any 4Runners in there?" I'm like, "It's the Land Cruiser Museum."
But we embrace all visitors. If they come in a Tacoma, a 4Runner, an FJ Cruiser, even if they come in a Jeep, we embrace them, we welcome them, and everyone has a good time.
Yeah, everyone's allowed a little bit of transgression.
We actually did the Nissan Patrol, and I gotta say, I was actually thinking it was pretty cool. It was like a cousin.
Yeah, and there's a Nissan dealership in Tucson, where I'm from, who actually has 2 patrols, a red one and a blue one. And people come up to me all the time, like, "Hey, did you see those 2 Land Cruisers over on the street?" I'm like, "Yeah, those look like Land Cruisers, but those are patrols. Those are Nissans." And so, let's kind of walk down.
We do. Let's see, 3 vehicles that technically are Land Cruisers. We have an F-250 from 1960. We have a 2012 FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Edition that's never been dealer processed. That vehicle is got 3.5 miles on the odometer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's being preserved as a time capsule. And again, we call it kind of a cousin.
Yeah. And so people will see this and like, oh man, why is something so rusty and dented and beat up in a museum? But cruiser heads will see this and just be like, wow, that absolutely deserves to be in the museum. And then right next to it, and this is kind of the one that I'm most partial to, I believe, because this is the one, no, not this one. I keep getting confused because I got the aftermarket reproduction of that on mine. A while ago, there was a guy on Facebook he had one of the aftermarket repop fiberglass ones. And I'd always thought it was kind of cool that it says Land Cruiser on it. And since it says Land Cruiser, you can't flip it upside down so the bezel police don't get mad.
Right.
And he had that, but he wanted a stamped steel one. And he's like, I'll trade somebody the stamped steel one for this fiberglass one. I'm like, well, I've got one on my cruiser. And he's like, well, let's trade. And I'm like, okay, deal. And my wife's like, why would you get rid of an original piece for something that was aftermarket? I'm like, because it looks cool. And like every cruiser in here just looks cool. And it's great that you get one that has like the patina on it. One over there that's all the windows are busted out of it. But it still fits in the museum. It looks like it belongs here. And I think that's one of the great things about this place is every vehicle looks like it was built to belong in the museum.
Our collection is not about what's beautiful and fully restored.
Yeah.
So you have the ones that are tired, which is generally a hint that there's a pretty good story behind it.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have Survivors, which are always the greatest.
Yeah,
Survivor story actually is this 28 wagon got a turquoise color, and it does have a lot of, it has many parts that are not original to the vehicle. And the story goes that this vehicle was owned by a team of engineers in Japan who brought it with them on a project to Mexico. And when they completed their project and worked there, they left the vehicle in the hands of the locals. They returned to Japan, and this vehicle was then driven by locals who kept it running with whatever parts they could find. So you'll notice like Chevy bucket seats and mirrors. There's these shipping latches on the hood. There's these random hooks that they replaced tow hooks for. And Dan thinks the side steps there are handmade from sewer pipe.
It looks like it, but it looks great. I mean,
we saw this vehicle and the ones sitting next to it, these very tired vehicles. They drove themselves off the transporter when the museum acquired them in 2015.
Nice.
So bus windows and all, these vehicles were very mechanical. They were easy to repair, and they were easy to, well, I don't know how easy, but they were repairable, and you could keep them running almost indefinitely. In fact, one of the frequently asked questions in the museum is how many vehicles in the collection run? And I would dare say we're talking about 65-70% of them would run.
And that number right there is just mind-blowing, because you think of a lot of other automotive museums and you're like, well, how many of these run? Like, well, we don't run any of them. They're just museum pieces. We just have them in here. They don't even have fluids in them.
There'll be museums where there's no engine in the vehicle.
Yeah.
These vehicles do hold a minimal amount of fluid. They all leak a little bit of oil, even the brand new ones.
And that's just them marking their territory.
If you all the fresh battery and they'll turn over. We do not turn over vehicles for the state.
Yeah. And I kind of see one of the E7 vehicles over there, and we're going to get to it.
E7 vehicle is part of the building.
Okay.
What you're looking at are is the camper conversion. We've got fire command vehicles. We've got fully restored one-house cruisers. A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
In the 70 series row.
I have nothing against the 70 series. In fact, last night when I was staying at my cousin's house, he's like, "So what do you think of the new 250 series Land Cruisers?" And I'm like, I love it. I would take one of the 250 series Land Cruisers. So mine is a 69. And now that I look at it, I think this is a 67, but it's the closest to my 69. And so, yeah, I have kind of a soft spot. And I've always kind of thought that these window rests kind of have the profile of the 40 series. I might be completely wrong, but I always kind of thought that looks kind of like the 40 series.
Not all bump stops are in that profile.
Not all of them are in that profile, but I'm like, and to me, that's just like a little Easter egg that I might, I'll pin my hat on that, and if it's true or not, I still like it.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
So what? Just because I don't want to spend all day on. I could spend all day on the 40s, but I don't want to spend all day on the 40s. What's another 40 series that has like special meaning to you in the museum?
Well, we walked past this 45 Troopy. This is a 1983 fully restored vehicle. This one actually is Dan Busey's personal favorite.
I remember him telling me about that when he would like come in and like say good morning to this one before anything else, and then he would like go do his work. But that one's beautiful.
Probably the finest restoration in the building, and we tip our hats to the person who did it because he's not a professional restorer, just a simple Land Cruiser enthusiast who lived in Perth, Australia. His name is
nice.
Andrews Coca, and he's a fine gentleman. He's visited with us, and we're happy to be friends with him.
Yeah, I've always said that Australia is one of the places that I want to go just to cruiser watch, just to see some of the cruisers there. And people down there put out amazing work. What's funny though, I'm all kind of turned around, but I'm like, it looks like it's a correct drive, but no, it's a right-hand drive. It's from Australia.
Full frame off restoration. Every nut and bolt is as nice as it can be.
And it is absolutely beautiful. I think if it wasn't for blue, I think the desert sand would be my favorite color. But just because it ends up being kind of iconic. And so let's go talk some 60s. Where are the 60s at?
So when we walk this row, which generally is made up of 40 series, and we don't keep every year, what we have is a change in model, features, regional differences, something that is a great story or historically significant. So we get visitors who are maybe miffed that the year of their vehicle isn't on the floor.
Yeah.
But we take it down all the way to the end of this row, and we have the 60 series, which is what everyone fell in love with next. Now, I know that it's not chronologically correct. We do actually put the Iron Pig in the corner.
Oh, the pig is in the corner? Oh, man.
We put baby in the corner.
And, okay, close third for the 40 series color is the mustard yellow. So blue, then sand, and then mustard yellow. And you got the 60s on one side, or no, you got 60s on both sides and 62s on both sides. So
we've got two 60 series from Japan. We have a FJ60 from Colombia. We also have then 3 vehicles from the U.S.
And why do you think people fell in love with the 60 series so much more after the 40 series and not the 55 or?
Hard to say, because the 55 actually does have a lot of character, and it did have seating enough for 5. It probably comes down to the joy of having power steering and factory air conditioning when you get to the 62.
Yeah.
I think an FJ60 is a fabulous, fun ride. Always love a manual transmission. I'm particularly not fond of high roof versions from Japan, but a lot of folks kind of, I guess, like a little extra headspace. We also love the option to have a turbo diesel, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice even now? I would say the 55 has just always been a mixed bag. It takes a certain character to really love and appreciate them.
It does. And people who like the 55s, they don't just like them, they are obsessed with them. And for good reasons. They are just as awesome as the rest of them.
I'm always overjoyed to meet a 55 fan.
And I say this all the time on my podcast, but there is never a Land Cruiser that I don't see that I'm not almost instantly emotionally attached to. So it's like I already have an emotional attachment to every vehicle I've seen in here, and it's just amazing. So we talked a little bit about Cohen earlier. Let's go look at his BJ45.
Sure. We're going to go into the east part of the building, and we'll bump out here. We keep our modern vehicles. There are 100 and 200 series, as well as 3 choice Prados, and then the Expedition fleet, which is Greg Miller's Expedition 7 vehicles, which he used to travel on all 7 continents. The BJ45 that belonged to Karen and Cohen respectfully belongs in the Expedition wing.
Yes.
They are, and they marketed themselves as the slowest overlanders. I like, in having it in the collection, more of a representation of the original overlanders. Even, I think of E7 as like the cowboy days of overland.
Yeah.
There are no rooftop tents on these vehicles. These guys and the explorers were sleeping on top of their drawer systems or sleeping outside of their vehicle.
Yeah.
These days, the modern overlanding vehicle has everything and an espresso machine, right?
Yeah.
And Cohen's vehicle is supremely unique. It has traveled many continents, almost all the continents except for, I think, North America, right? And it's been repaired in villages across the world. It was never meant to be beautiful. It was meant to be dependable. In a third world country, in a remote part of the world, far corners, where Karen and Cohen could meet amazing people.
And their book that they wrote was so fantastic. I had them on the podcast early on in the podcast to kind of help get the ball rolling to get their book on the ground and get it printed. I would like to say that I was helpful and instrumental in getting the word out so they can get their book printed, but it was just an amazing experience to talk to them and to read their story in the book. And when you're in the museum and you come around the corner, you don't necessarily see this BJ45 at first. You see the Mega Cruiser and you see the E7 vehicles, and then you come around the corner and it's almost like got its own aura of awesomeness.
We can smell the inside aura.
Yes, let's do that. And so the book, if you haven't read it, it's an amazing book. But they started out here in Western Europe, and they came down into Turkey and over. And this is in 2003. If you remember what was starting to happen in 2003, this area of the world was not a very smart place for a lot of people to go, but they ended up going to these places and meeting the most amazing people that you would ever think of. And you'd think that when they were in countries like Iran, countries like Pakistan, that people wouldn't be very nice to them, but they ended up meeting just the salt of the earth people. And I feel like I'm stepping onto holy ground right here, just putting my head in here, because I don't think a lot of people actually get to put their head inside of Karen and Cohen's vehicle.
A lot of folks follow their story. They've been writing about it for years. It's always surreal to see it. We have guests who are just amazed to be in its presence. And whenever we can, we try to open the store and we try to show them what it might have been like to live in this full time. It has their postcards, their pictures, the beaded seat that obviously is very tired. Cohen was a man who drove barefoot often, right? So,
I did not know that about him, that he would drive barefoot. That is...
This vehicle's been repaired, and it bears all the wear and all of the challenges that they overcame.
And what's kind of interesting about this is not the vehicle that they had in mind when they were buying the vehicle. Somebody's like, "Hey, you should actually look at this vehicle," and they're like, "Well, it's kind of beat up," but then they're like, "You know what? This is perfect." And
that aligns with what I commonly like to tell folks when they say that they would love to have a Land Cruiser someday. I feel that the right Land Cruiser has a way of finding.
Very well put. The right Land Cruiser does have a way of finding you. And I will kind of echo that statement. When I was trying to buy my Land Cruiser, or I'd been wanting a Land Cruiser for 20-something, almost 25 years. I was finally getting to a point where I could actually buy a Land Cruiser. And I found this one up in Idaho that was perfect for what I wanted, what I needed. It was everything that I wanted. It was turnkey ready. I wouldn't have to do anything to it. And we worked out a price, and it was I was about ready to buy it, and then right as the money was coming in, I said, "Hey, I want to work out how I'm going to pay for it," because it was up in Idaho. I was down in Arizona. I was having to get it shipped. And then the seller was like, "You know what? I really want more money." And it was more money out of my budget that I had to buy it. And at that same time, the 69 came up, and it was all original. Yeah, it had a rusted bed tub and a rusted driver's floor pan, and still had the original engine, original transmission, original transfer case, and it was right in my budget. And I'm like, but it's a 3-speed. And everyone's like, this guy I work with, he's like, "Dude, the 3-speed is, that's cool that it's a 3-speed. Not very many vehicles are 3-speed. And then I'm like, "Well, I don't like the wheels and tires." And he's like, "You can get rid of the wheels and tires." And I'm like, "Well, it's got a patina." He's like, "Patina's awesome." And I ended up buying the one that the 69. And so I was like, and it just kind of, it found me.
It changed you, apparently, a little bit of your opinion, huh?
Oh, I absolutely love it now, although it probably is getting a 4-speed pretty soon down the road. And so
you enjoy the 3-speed.
And I do like I do like the 3-speed, because like not everybody knows how to drive a 3-speed, but it's like I would like to have another gear, just one more. And then we got a couple of mega cruisers right here, some Japanese fire trucks. Now this one over here is probably one of the crowning jewels of the museum, in the sense that it can say, is it this one or?
Yeah, the vehicle parked perpendicular to the rest of the fleet here is the first and only four-wheeled vehicle to have been on all 7 continents.
And other vehicle manufacturers have put vehicles on all 7 continents, but never the same vehicle on all 7 continents. And so,
to the best of what we know, yeah.
And that is
not yet been repeated as far as we can know.
And
part of that challenge is getting to Antarctica, of course.
Yes.
I'll tell you that not all the vehicles in the E7 fleet travel to Antarctica. It would have been this VDJ-78 and the Arctic Hilux on the end. Those 2 vehicles were sent on a Russian aircraft carrier where you pay by the pound. So this is why not everyone.
Yeah, so that's why only the one actually made it on. They couldn't get all the E7 vehicles on there, because if you're paying by the pound for, what was it, 6 vehicles, that would be really expensive. But this one, the last time I was here, I'm gonna get a better view of it. Last time I was here, I spent time just looking at this one, just because that's something that, again, not very many other things can even try to compete with that.
So once in a lifetime opportunity. It was a dream come true for Greg Miller, and it inspired, I think, a lot of people trying to think large.
Yeah, and I heard on a different podcast, somebody was actually talking to Greg Miller, and he's like, I would like to go to the 6 main continents. And then I think he was talking to Kurt Williams, and Kurt Williams is like, well, why don't we do all 7? And that's how E7 kind of started. And it's like, I mean, who thinks of driving one vehicle across 7 continents? That is.
Well, it was Greg who wanted to drive a Land Cruiser on all 7 continents. It got Brady who wanted to do the same feat, but on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But the dream there and the ambition is the origin story of why the museum exists at all. Toyota found out what he was doing or planning to do with the 2 VDJ-78s he ordered, and invited him to Japan to see the factory and the plant there and the museum. And
yeah,
Greg saw everything he possibly could see, but was shockingly surprised to find out that Toyota does not have a collection of Land Cruisers in their museum.
Yeah, and I've been living vicariously the last 2 weeks through Kurt Williams, who's over in Japan. I think he's still over there, right?
He's back.
Oh, he's back now. So
I'm not sure how much more he brought back with him.
But yeah, and still they don't have any Land Cruisers in their museum over there. They have like 1 or 2.
A couple token Land Cruisers, yeah. Nothing that actually displays or showcases the longevity and the full legacy of over 70 years of their flagship SUV, their oldest nameplate.
Yeah, and you guys do an amazing job at honoring the legacy of the Land Cruisers here, and not just like you said, not just the restored vehicles, but the surviving vehicles.
I'm an administrator. I've never really been one who wrenches a lot on vehicles or understands the mechanics very well. In fact, you can stop me really easily if you ask me about engines. But I really do gravitate to the stories that these Land Cruisers have, that impact on personal lives, on families, on generations of families. There are very few nameplates that really get to be handed down if you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
Still be able to run and drive. We're talking about 40 years, 50-year-old vehicles that people are just really proud to own.
Yeah. And, I kind of fall into that category myself because I got introduced to Land Cruisers when I was 12, 14 years old. One of my cousins had a 76 mustard yellow, black hood, and we went out target shooting out by his house one day, and we're like, oh, we forgot something that we need at his house. So we jump back in the Land Cruiser. I'm sitting in the jump seats, holding on to the roll bar for dear life, and he climbs up this hill, and I swear it was like a wall. He was just climbing up it. And I'm like, this is the coolest vehicle ever. Well, fast forward 20 years, I now have a Land Cruiser. My kids are the two that can drive. They have the 4Runner, only because I can't afford to put them into a Land Cruiser. But the other day, my son was like, you know what? I would love, my favorite Land Cruiser is the 80 series. He's like, I would love to have an 80 series. I'm like, I would love for you to have an 80 series too, but if I buy it, I'm going to want to keep it. So, and where are the 80s over here or the?
So we're going to
Okay.
the corner, sitting next to the 55 series is going to be our choice selection of the people.
Okay. And so,
love.
Yeah. But you got to think that the 40 series body style, so I'm kind of including the 20 series in that as well, went on for 30 years. The 20 series started in the 50s and it ended in 83, 84. So it's like that's why there's so many 40 series in here. So here's the beautiful 55 series, and there's a guy that I work with. He actually drives the other 4-wheel drive, but he's like, if I can ever get my hands on a 55, I would love that because I just love them. And it's again, you either love them or you hate them, and even the people who hate them still love them.
Because they're quirky and unique, and if you want to stand out and be a little different, 55 is a nice choice. I've met some young folks who have kind of discovered them, and I think they're very happy with their choice.
And but he's like, the problem with trying to get into a 55 is they're either really roached out or they're museum quality, quote unquote museum quality. Every Land Cruiser is museum quality if you think about it.
Here in the museum, we have what we like to call bookend. We passed a pair in the 40 with 45 LV, and it's generally a pairing where one vehicle has lived a rather rough life and one vehicle looks as nice and as straight as can be, right? So we're standing right now in front of another bookend pair where the 55 models are the same color, the same year, but having lived very different lives. So one on the left is a 1978 FJ55 that belonged to Tagalong Tours, an outfit in Moab, Utah, where the driver was taking tourists on all the popular trails in Moab and San Rafael Swell. She was actually a very petite female, as I'm told. Her name was Janet Roper Deal, and she was definitely a goat, if you will. Kind of felt like I really wanted to meet her because who spends their working day taking tourists, on tough trails and really roughing it with no power steering and no air conditioning. She had to be pretty strong a character. And then the one sitting next to it is a 1978 55 that only has 11,000 miles.
Nice.
This is a time capsule. The oil filter is like the exact correct color. for 1978. In fact, there are only 3 parts on this vehicle that are not original to it. A front shock leaked at some point and was replaced. The battery was replaced, and the rear muffler was replaced.
Oh man, that is.
The rear muffler is telling though, and I will tell this story to folks who ask that question, why don't we turn the cars over? Because the rear muffler in this case rusted from the inside out, indicating that the owner of the vehicle never drove it hot enough to evaporate the condensation.
Good to know.
So you don't turn the vehicle over unless you're going to drive it a distance and get the engine hot enough.
Yeah. And you know what? Even the back end, because we came around the corner on the behind the 60s. Even the back end of the 60 series is just like amazing and iconic. And my daughter the other day said, I want to have a 60 series. So I have a 40. My son wants an 80. My daughter wants a 60 series. So yeah, I have passed that down onto my kids now already. I tell her that she needs to get the FJ60 emblems, like the 3 stripes on her 4Runner, just to kind of make her feel like it's the 60 series. So and so I used to have a lot of flack from people who listen to the podcast who would say, you have 40s on there, they have 55s, you have 60s, you have 70s, you'd never have an 80 series on there. And I'm like, because the 80 series is a new Land Cruiser, it's brand new. And they're like, no, the 80 series is 25, 30 years old. Oh, so I now include, and people have said, if it could have an inline 6 and a solid front axle, it's considered a classic Land Cruiser. I'm like, okay, I will deal with that. All right, I will accept that. So now we have the bookends for the 80 series, and you know, again, I see these and I'm like, oh, that's every vehicle in here. I'm just like, oh, that's such an amazing vehicle. You probably get sick of people hearing that all day. Like, you know, yeah, I know they're amazing vehicles. That's why I work here at the museum. But
we ask folks all the time, and we'll ask the young kids, you know, which ones are your favorite? What would you like to drive away, right? If you could. Not that you can here, but a lot of times it's interesting because their choice is kind of a window into their personality, right? 80 series guys and gals, they love their adventure, right? Like they think they're capable of doing anything. I respect that. The vehicle themselves really can. I've never owned an 80 series. I've daily 100 series. So that's mostly because I just can't afford one. It's so competitive these days to get into an 80 that's clean, and it's also competitive to buy into a 200. So I sit right there in the affordable economy range. I'm definitely priced out of 40 series.
Yeah, I got lucky when I bought mine because it was at the prices on them are kind of cyclical. They go up and down, up and down. And I just happened to be, when I was looking at buying mine, it just happened to be one of those times when the market was starting to drop. And so I was actually able to buy into my 40 under $10,000.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And now today my daughter sent me a Facebook Marketplace 40 series, and you could tell the engine doesn't turn over. There was no steering gear in it. There was no interior in it. And the guy wanted $8,000 for it. I'm like, or he originally wanted $10,000. He dropped the price down to $8,800. I'm like, that's too high. You're not getting what you need for $10,000. But I was able to buy in at an affordable price.
Well, part of it is because with the 80 series, we never really got a base model. Right?
Yeah.
This one here, this HCJ 80 is from Australia, and it is more or less a base model. Vinyl interior and the 5-speed manual transmission. I mean, that's really cool, right?
Yeah, because the 80 series is kind of the bridge from form and function into luxury. the
Well,
quote unquote soccer
the
mom
60
vehicles.
series was when it became a luxury vehicle. Factory
Okay. Yeah.
factory conditioning and seating for a family of 5. But the 80 series took it up an extreme notch, right? You have all this leather interior in there. And just even if you look at its 40th anniversary, I mean, come on. These were a really big jump in expenditure for the Land Cruiser, right?
Yeah.
Dan Busey, obviously, has owned his 80 since new in 1993, and he still talks about how unaffordable it really was to him at the time.
Yeah, when I
stretched his wallet to make it happen.
And
I say that was like 43,000 back in 93.
Yeah, and even then he had to like talk to the owner of the dealership, and he was like, "Hey, I really want one of these, but it's out of my price range. Can you work with me?" Even then, he kind of had to do some under the table deals to get into it, and so it's like, but
he's also gonna live in it forever.
Oh yeah,
he would be buried in it if that were.
Yeah, there's a collector in Tucson that he had been collecting for years, and a lot of people know him because they've bought parts from him. I had the good pleasure of meeting him. I haven't heard from him in a long time. I don't know where he's at. Or last time I saw him, he was not doing very well physically. But his name is Tim Hill. Yeah, Tim Hill. And he's like, my wife is going to bury, when I die, my wife is not going to give me a casket. She's going to put me in the front seat of my 40, dig a hole with the backhoe, put the 40 in there, and bury me with my 40. I can't say that. That will happen to me because I've already promised my son my 40 when I die. When I went to go buy it, he came with me, and I was like, "Well, what do you think of it?" He's like, "It's pretty cool." And I'm like, "Well, if I buy it, I'm never selling it. So when I die, you get it." He's like, "Really?" He probably doesn't like me telling that story, but it's funny because he's like, I could get this pretty cool, badass 40 series when my dad dies, but I just don't want him to kill me to do it. And I know you have a phone call that you need to take, but thank you for taking a little bit of time to talk to me. And I'll just kind of finish off in here, and thank you so much.
Welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I would like to take it in. As I said, ability has changed a lot over the years, but there's still, even second time visitors always seem to pick up things they didn't see the first time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's always more to see and deeper detail to absorb.
Yeah. And if you are anywhere within 100 miles of Salt Lake, you have to come to the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. It is absolutely 100%. You have to do it. I arranged my family vacation around coming to the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum.
We only have so much time in Salt Lake, and we will try to stay open for them, or we will try to make arrangements. We don't want anyone to miss it.
Yeah, and if you come here, you will not be disappointed. It is heaven. I was gonna try and like do this whole intro where I was like, "Oh, I'm going to the Holy Land," and no, I'm not going to Salt Lake City. I'm going to the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum because this place is just so awesome. Okay, so you're back from the phone call that you already had scheduled, and I know I'm just kind of taking over the museum today.
It was just a simple call. We were organizing Cruiser Fest, so we're really excited. So that is all underway.
Yeah, and this one you kind of told me about a little bit earlier, but it has a fantastic story. This BJ70. It's a media vehicle, and so There's the antenna on the top and like everything you would need for in the field media.
This is one of
editing.
my favorite vehicles in the collection. It's just a little short BJ70 turbo diesel, and well, actually, it might not be a turbo, but it is a diesel with a factory PTO winch. It's been retrofitted with equipment, top of the line equipment from 1986 for a TV broadcasting company in Japan. And the gentleman who was the employee, would drive up Mountain A, take some recordings, write down in his journal or something, having to do with broadcasting. I don't know. And it's all very analog. And then he would, take his recordings and then drive down Mountain A and drive up Mountain B and do the very same thing. It was wash and repeat all day. And I'm thinking, how cool is this guy for his job, having to go around cruising in a Land Cruiser and just sitting out in this jump seat in the back with this little CRT screen that's no bigger than like your in-dash.
Yeah,
I mean,
we got kind of a Jules gave me kind of a behind the scenes experience of it and it's literally like a 10-inch black and white tube TV. It's awesome.
Yeah, a bunch of analog dials and switches, and there is a scent in that vehicle.
There
1986. Got curtains in there. It's I mean, the truck is just beautiful. It's really cool.
Yeah.
We collect vehicles as is. So we actually encourage having everything original to the vehicle come with it. The only thing that we didn't get with this one was the antenna on top, right? So,
yeah, the telescoping antenna. It has another little antenna. But yeah, and a lot of you guys are going to really love this section because it's the 70s section, and they're awesome vehicles in their own right. I mean, they're not the 40, they're not the 60, they're not the 55, but I mean, they're still making the 70 series.
It's everything we can't have.
And I think that's why so many people love the 70 series is they want to have the toy that they don't get, that they can't have.
Turbo diesel 70 that you could just,
Yeah, and so
maintenance cars, ground seeker cars, golf course, country club. A lot of them are used commercially, and in fact, the 70 series is in fact the most commercially successful truck probably around. I mean, we've got an example of a mine truck down at the far end, and the company Miller Technologies, based out of Ontario, Canada, has been running 70 series trucks in their mine since the late 70s.
Yeah,
consistently. That's all they use.
I really love this build. We kind of stopped by it a little bit, but I love it. It's a totally different color. It's a rag top. I mean, a lot of these are hard tops, and yeah, the 40 had a removable hard top or a factory soft top, but yeah, a 70 series short wheelbase or shorter wheelbase with a soft top.
This one is interesting. This 88 BJ74. It's got some custom coat work to it. Not very well done and executed coat work, but they wanted to see if they could build a 4-door version. This is before the HCJ7.
Yeah.
Prototype-ish.
Yeah.
Right?
It's prototype. And then another one that it's eye-popping and fantastic is this orange HJ75.
Custom color.
Yeah.
I don't know who you have to know until you to get a custom color, but someone knew someone. The brass tag in the firewall has the paint code 0000, however many zeros. It is not a color you can get.
And it's not a color that they're going to just give out to everybody. So
command people for,
yeah. So one that you were telling me about earlier that we didn't get to talk about, I went and looked at it a little bit as you were on your phone call for Cruiser Fest. When is Cruiser Fest, by the way?
It's Saturday, September 12th.
Saturday, September 12th.
Tickets are going to be coming online shortly here. We're just working on getting those available, and we have our speaker lined up. We're working on building a schedule of workshops and guided tours. We encourage anyone who wants to participate as a sponsor or send in a raffle donation. We love celebrating Land Cruisers for a full day with everyone across the nation, and even the lucky ones coming internationally.
Yeah. I have some calendars that I got ready for Solid Axle Summit that I was going to do for a raffle there. I'll give you a calendar to give away for the raffle. But this is one that I was wanting to talk to you about because the story on this one is absolutely fantastic. And it is an ambulance, and it still has the stretchers in it. So what's the story behind the ambulance?
St. John Ambulance. This is a conversion on the 1981. So 1981 HA-27 conversion to ambulance. This was servicing parts of Australia that had quite similar growth. When you got cross country and you're in need of medical help, probably you're going to want to make sure you get to the hospital. I mean, I think I would definitely want to go on a Land Cruiser. And this does have 3 stretchers and a logbook pickups they made. When we acquire vehicles, we want everything to come with it, anything that's part of the story. So in the tag-along tour vehicle, the FJ55, there's still camping equipment that belonged to the original, the previous owner. In Perrin & Cullen's BJ45 Land Cruising Adventure Troopy, that still has all of their live-in materials, their dish soap, their postcards, their pictures,
their little flags that they have lining the ceiling of it. It is truly.
We could not import with this vehicle the medicine.
Oh, I took away all the fun.
We are still the vehicles we want to still acquire. There is a Japanese purse conversion on a Land Cruiser. I've never seen one of them. You have to Google it.
Oh.
Very ornate, black and gold decorated purse. And I would think that in the collection, you would put the purse next to the ambulance, not to be dark or anything, but if I were going to the hospital, why not? I would love to get in a Land Cruiser. If I had to see my maker, I'd love to go out in a Land Cruiser.
And you know what? That's kind of the one really cool thing about Land Cruisers, and I've experienced this in my 40, and just about every Land Cruiser fits this. It's a chameleon vehicle. I can go to Cars and Coffee in my 40 series and be next to Ferraris and Lamborghinis and exotics and imports and tuners and all this other stuff, and it fits in with those. And people don't, a lot of times when I go to Cars and Coffee and I'm parked next to the exotics, people will go look at the exotics and then they'll like stop by mine and they're like, wait, this is really cool. And then they go around it, and then you go off-road in it and get it all dirty and it fits there. And there's another vehicle that I wanted to talk about.
There's hardly anything that the Land Cruiser can't do. I mean, you're talking about exotics and supercars and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And we have a supercar in the building, and it's a Land Cruiser.
It is. And
the Speed Cruiser is clocked at 230.02 miles per hour. I mean,
give that one to Rob Tygart.
I don't think he would know what to do with it. I love you, Rob.
There is another one I want to talk about. And I was telling my my daughter who just walked in front of the screen, that this one it's really cool. And yeah, when you go to a museum, you don't touch the vehicles. It's just common sense, common courtesy. Go to car shows, you don't touch the vehicles. But you have one here that explicitly says, do not touch, because it's so dirty, and all the dirt is from Saudi, and it's just exactly the way it came off of transport. And
original condition, just as it was, as is the way we prefer things. This is our first vehicle in the collection that's from the Middle East. This hails from Saudi Arabia. This is a 1982 FJ43. It is a restoration, actually. This vehicle has miles on it. But there was a period in the region where the collectors, it was a trend of sorts to mock it up like it had been delivered fresh from the factory.
yeah.
So as you see it, the doors, the bow, the soft top, the bench seating is all inside that crate with a spare tire on top. And this is the way they would have shipped from Japan. And they had this on display somewhere in Saudi Arabia. And then when they were more or less done, or even perhaps tired of it, because Lord knows they have so many in the Middle East, this actually sat in a warehouse for a number of years. And so it collected this layer of Saudi sand and dust. And originally, when we acquired it, the only real prints on it were this little warehouse barn cat paw prints, kind of like, behind the steering wheel and on the seat. But unfortunately, as the museum has become popular, we don't just, draw Land Cruiser enthusiasts anymore. We do have the general public, tourists, and there's always that someone who feels entitled to leave a mark. And just like we leave no trace in our outdoors, where we leave things better than we found it, the same rule applies here. We ask you not to touch the vehicle so that we can share the same story consistently with each guest.
Yeah. And my son was like, well, why don't you just put clear coat over it? I'm like, because once you start spraying clear coat, it's going to blow all that dust off. He's like, put it in a glass box.
We'd hate to put a barrier in front of it. It would ruin the aesthetics and the experience here. We do our best just to monitor. These are under camera surveillance. Unfortunately, we have come to that point. But we're not likely to remove the sand. It's been a topic of question every now and then in a board meeting. Do we go ahead and have it detailed? But we stand firm that the Saudi sand stays.
My vote would be, don't touch it. Just leave all the sand. Because again, I've said it before on the podcast. Every Land Cruiser has a story. That dust that's sitting on this Land Cruiser is the story behind it. And so if you got rid of the dust, you're almost getting rid of the story. I mean, because you have so many other clean Land Cruisers around. I mean, tons of good, clean Land Cruisers.
Super special that it's from Saudi Arabia, our first Middle Eastern vehicle in the collection. We now have another. It is a 100 series from Saudi Arabia as well. So the collection continues to evolve. We want to showcase and share all different models and examples from all over the world.
Yeah. And we're nearing about an hour. So let's go talk about the celebrity cruisers that we have in here. You mentioned the Land Speed Cruiser.
Yep.
And that one's
actually on donated stuff. So in the collection of 100, we have about five vehicles that are either on loan to us from a private collector or Toyota, or remains owned by the founder of the museum, Greg Miller. Now, this special vehicle that you're talking about is on loan to us from New York Times best-selling author Jack Carr,
who's been on the podcast.
Yes, big fan. This is his FJ62 that's personally owned by Jack and was in the TV show The Terminalist. Probably half a season, I think, before they crashed it out or something. I think there were three vehicles on the set. And
Yeah, they're
this was the hero vehicle on set.
Yeah, and because in my preparation to have Jack Carr on the podcast, it's funny, I can't just say Jack. It has to be Jack Carr. But in my preparation to try and get Jack Carr on the podcast, a couple years ago when I first started trying, I'm not a very good reader, so I ended up listening to all of the Terminal List, and every James Reese story, somehow he ends up in a Land Cruiser, and I think he ends up driving every single, like a 40, a 55, a 60, a 3. It's a hero vehicle of his stories. And so we have Jack Carr's 62 series, which is beautiful in and of itself. And then we have the Land Speed Cruiser, and then we have the Icon. And I know a lot of the purists would say, I don't like it. They changed too much of it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
You know what I respect about it? It is a work of art. It's an homage to the original FJ40. It's an idea of what a modern FJ40 could be. And it's also a wonder because there's so much craft work in here. Jonathan is, I want to say, an artist, right?
Yeah.
So what it takes to kind of put this together, where your parts are from Aqualoo and your canvas is from Mercedes-Benz, and he does his own, I think, custom upholstery, and now he's making leather jackets and watch pieces, I think. You've just got...
Still out of my price range.
Admire, right? You've got Brembo brakes and Fox suspension, and
yeah,
it's a head turner for sure. Is it original? The only parts that are the hood, the bezel, and the frame, but still, like, it's wonderful to see new life given to those parts.
And a lot of companies like Icon, FJ Company, a lot of people will say, well, it's not the real thing, but it shows what these old classic Land Cruisers can be. You don't have to get rid of them. They can become more.
It's imagination.
Yeah.
Because I think everything has a place here.
Yeah.
We have a limited number of resto mods in the building, but they all have a place in the Land Cruiser community.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a purist. I respect all builds. And I think there's a lot to be said about a work of art, and there's a lot to be said about a Frankenstein that at least gets them outside and having fun.
Yeah, I can look at the one that we had, you showed me over there, that was just every nut and every bolt and every screw was meticulously restored, and that is beautiful. I can look at this Icon. That is beautiful. I can look at the patina. Those are all beautiful. And it just comes down to, these are just such great, timeless tools for adventure.
There's a price to pay when the vehicle's too perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where that restoration was so well done, the owner, Andrew Stoka, was then too afraid to drive it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're always going to then park a million miles from the next shopping cart.
Yeah.
You're limiting the amount of mileage you put on it.
Yeah.
Different life, right?
And when
warehouse cruiser for a decade, out of sight and away.
And when I was getting ready to paint my 40, because mine was a desert sand color and it did have a beautiful patina. My wife always gets on my case, why did you get rid of the patina? My vision was always a two-tone white and blue. And I didn't want to do like a really expensive paint job and then be like, oh, I don't want to go off-road in it, because I bought it so I could go off-road.
Right.
And a lot of people, the purists, would be like, so what did you do? Well, I used a bedliner paint. Oh, why did you use bedliner paint? You ruined it. I'm like, no, because I can go out and I can hit the cholla and I can hit the cactus and scratch it up. And then just all it takes to get rid of all the scratches is a damp rag and wipe it down. And it's just like I paint it. Well, are you going to take the dents out of it? No, the dents are part of the story of the vehicle. And I just love visually seeing all these stories of these Land Cruisers because it is just so fantastic. Again, Jules, thank you so much for taking your time to kind of give me this walkthrough tour of the museum. Yeah, I can't recommend this place enough. I already want to come back, and I'm in the building and I want to come back. So thank you so much for taking your time.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. As always, remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. Again, this episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, Save Your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hidebirds and Terrain Timber North America. As for me, the mountains are calling and I must go.